Well, the first season of Dexter Original Sin has finally come to an end, so let's talk about it. What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for checking out my review of the first season of Dexter Original Sin. When they first announced that we were getting a prequel called Dexter Original Sin and that it was going to be about kind of the growing up of Dexter, not just as a child, but as far as getting into the forensics and getting into the Miami Metro, I was excited. Uh, Part of me was like, I absolutely love Dexter. Dexter is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, but part of me was like, I cannot wait for this series. I can't wait to see how they're going to portray certain characters. But then the other part of me was like, man, but are they going to reveal stuff that I feel like wouldn't match the original Dexter series? Would they do plot twists that really didn't match up? And to my surprise, they did very, very well in this first season. I feel like this first season really captured the spirit of the original show, especially within like the first four seasons. The casting, I will say the casting was great for this series. Patrick Gibson did a great young Dexter. I really hope we get a Dexter Original Sin season 2 because I would love to see him more as Dexter. Not only did he capture little things like the way he would eat felt like the way that Michael C. Hall would eat as Dexter. His mannerisms, his like hesitation, his eye movements. And then when we did finally get into like his kills, like he really toward the end of the season. And yes, this will contain spoilers. So if you have not watched Dexter Original Sin, I should have said that at the beginning of the video, then don't watch this series or don't watch this episode. But anyway, like the more he got into it as far as getting more into his practice and then getting more comfortable with his kills, I feel like Patrick really captured Michael C. Hall essence as Dexter, the character, and I think he did a phenomenal job. Molly Brown, she played Deb. I think that she did great. I loved her as Deb. I was really kind of like, man, who are they going to get to portray Deb? Because Deb is such an iconic character of the original series. And I think she did a phenomenal job. And I did like the backstory that we got with Deb because, you know, we do know that Deb suffered a lot. Like, if you watch the original series, you do understand that she feels like she was left out of a lot of things with her dad. And of course, her mother dying as a young age. And I really thought that they really made you feel sympathy for Deb, which is great. And I love that we followed along with Deb, you know, through her. I guess she's a senior in high school. And, you know, you see the chaos with her meeting this guy and then the chaos between her and her best friend and Dexter. But overall, I think she did a fantastic job as Deb. And then we had Christina Millen as LaGuardia. I hope I said her last name right. But when she got introduced, she not only does she look like a younger LaGuardia, but she had the sass, the attitude like LaGuardia. And already off the bat, like the very first episode she's in, you already can tell that she's a shark and she's wanting to make it to the top. And I feel like she portrayed LaGuardia really well. And then we had a new character, Sarah Michelle Gellar, which I love her acting as well. You know, I grew up watching a lot of her movies, especially in the 90s. But she played Tanya, and I like her character. I was kind of like, when they started introducing people that with just like made up positions, I was like, well, they don't ever mention her in the original series, but I don't feel like they have to. And if they did, somebody correct me because I don't remember them ever saying anything about Tanya. But I feel like she's doing very well in this series. And I like how she is kind of like helping Masuka and Dexter because, you know, at the beginning of the season, Dexter is just an intern. But like it's the little stuff that Sarah Michelle Gellar brings to that character that I really feel like is knowing who her character is, especially like she used to be a ex jockey. She loves horses. And then she's talking about her daughter playing sports and, you know, she's trying to be a role model for her daughter. I really like that. And then we also have Christian Slater as Harry. This was the only real casting choice that I had a problem with. I like Christian Slater. I've seen a lot of his films. I grew up, of course, during the era where he was big, but I just don't see him as Harry. I really thought, like, if you look at the other actors, they really look like their characters that they're portraying, and he doesn't resemble Harry at all from the original Dexter series. But to my surprise, he did a phenomenal job. And I know I like to use that word a lot, but I really think Christian Slater did a great job as Harry. And I absolutely love the backstory, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Patrick Dempsey plays Aaron Spencer. Um, Never have been a real big fan of Patrick Dempsey. Not going to lie, I know a lot of people like him from Grey's Anatomy. My wife loves him from Grey's Anatomy. I know he played in movies like Scream 3 and Thanksgiving, but I've never really dug his acting. Um, he was just kind of meh for me. I feel like sometimes he overacted, and I don't know. He really didn't just stand off screen until later on in the twist, which we'll get to here in a bit. And then James Martinez, he played Batista. I thought he did a great Batista. He had the accent, he had the mannerisms as Batista. So, like I said, overall, I feel like the casting for the original lineup did a great job. Alex, I think his name is Alex Shimuzu. Uh, Shimuzu, I think his last name. If I get that wrong, I'm sorry. He played Masuka. Great. Once again, had the laugh, had the look, had the mannerisms, how he would thought he was, big and bad because he was the first forensic guy, and uh, I like the dynamic between him, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Dexter. Of course, I really like that trio. I thought they really did good. And then we had Brittany Allen. She played Laura Moser, and I will say she blew it out of the water. I actually thought she was the original actress from the original series. They casted her perfect, and I think she did a great job. Uh, Man, her way of being a protective mother to, her being the other woman that is having an affair with Harry, as well as doing the job for Harry. Man, she just played it so good, and she has something in her eyes. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but she had the confidence in certain scenes where you could tell that she was confident in what she was doing, how she was going to present herself, and then, just the way she would look at her sons as Harry would take care of them, and then when she knew that Harry had to go back to his wife, the eyes, man, she's a phenomenal actress. I really dug her. But overall, like I said, I feel like the casting was great. So I want to now get into some of the positives and to some of the storylines that I really liked in this. One of the big shockers is we learned that Harry had a son who drowned. I don't think they ever mentioned that in the original Dexter series. And it kind of does fit to where now we know why Harry was so accepting to Dexter and Brian at the time. Uh, yeah, that was a backstory where it first started. I was like, I was like, did they ever? And it really made me start going back. Like, did they ever really mention that? But you see one reason too, also why Harry became kind of the way he was, as far as him and his wife and him having an affair, because they both had a tremendous loss, and I'm sure that can either two things can happen if something like that happens. I'm sure it's either going to make your relationship even stronger, or it's going to crumble your relationship because both are mourning. And it's just one of them situations where I've seen that happen in real life, where I've had a buddy and wife who lost their child, and it's either going to raise their relationship together and then both be strong, or it's going to have them both crumble. But also Harry and Laura Moser, their story, man, I really could see that's exactly how it went. Like, I could watch this season and go straight into the first season of Dexter. They played off great with each other, and I like how they met. I like how he really started to care for her, because at the beginning you can tell that she's just an informant for Harry, and that it's not that he could care less what happens to her, but the more that he was around her, that you could see the love was growing and the attraction was growing. And there were some situations where we all knew how it was going to end if you've watched the original Dexter series, but there was situations where even I was like, like it was getting a little hairy, no pun intended, because his name's Harry. But yeah, their storyline I really enjoyed, really dug. I did like that. And of course, I like how Dexter was learning how to officially start to kill. I like how he was understanding that he's got this darkness in him and that he's got this hunger in him. And the first kill scene is when he takes out the nurse that was killing all these other patients, and they filmed it perfect. They filmed it just like in the first season, and I like how he's sloppy during the first couple of kills, and then slowly he starts learning about the wrap, with taking their clothes off, and it holds them down tighter. And leading into that, I like where he actually gets Harry, because Harry's fixing to just ruin his life, ruin his career by shooting one of the main protagonists in the season. And Dexter learns what kind of horse tranquilizer, I think is what it was, to put the victim down, and just enough to give him enough where it wouldn't kill him. And of course, I like how he takes out Harry, and then when Harry wakes up, he's to the table. I like that. I thought that was pretty cool, because they've never really said anything about Dexter showing Harry how he did his kills. And I like that he was showing him. He was like, "Where's my clothes?" And he was like, "I told you, Dad. The wrap makes it tighter on the skin." And I really dug that, because it was almost like now Dexter was teaching Harry that, look, I know I messed up a couple times, but I've got this. I'm getting the rhythm. I really dug that. Of course, Deb and Dexter's chemistry as the younger and older brother and sister vibe, loved it. These two really matched. They really made you feel like they were brother and sister. And I even like how uh, Dexter is even got a girlfriend, Sophia, in the film or in the series, which she did a great job as well. But like, I think it's funny seeing how awkward Dex can be, especially like having his first girlfriend, and stuff like that. Uh, and one of my favorite scenes in the actual series was when he was telling him that he was telling Harry what he did, and this is after Harry got off of the table. Dexter let him go, and then after Harry has finally realized that Dexter's going to continue doing this, this is who Dexter is. He looks at Dexter and he's like, "Smelling salts," and he kind of looks over, and he just kind of, you hear that music playing in the background. He goes, "Smelling salts will wake him up where you don't have to wait as long." The old school music plays, and you finally get the approval from Harry to, this is what needs to be done. So I really dug that. The opening with the original credits, the original music, I loved it. I loved how you get to see not just Dexter getting ready this time, but it's Dex and Deb and Harry all getting together, going their own ways in the original credit scenes. I like that. But overall, I feel like the entire backstory to Dexter getting to where, he's got these hungers, and now he's going into being able to process what's going on, where he needs to be, what needs to happen. And I love the fact that that's how he learned how to get the horse tranquilizers, is from Tanya, which is Sarah Michelle Gellar, where she's upset because she just watched the race that I want to say she was betting on a horse. I may be wrong, but I know she was watching horse races, and she was like, "Yeah, he broke his leg and they're going to put him down." And he was like, "Well, how do you put an animal down that big?" And then when she said the medicine, I like that's how Dexter ended up learning to get his little stuff to inject people to make them fall out. Jeff Daniel Phillips, which is a really cool guy. I've met him before. He's an awesome guy. I think he's an underrated actor. I think what hurts him is because he's only, like, the real big movies I've seen him in is Rob Zombie's movies. But he really needs to branch out more and do more stuff like this, because I really felt like he did a great job as a villain. And that was probably my favorite death scene. That's where I really felt like Patrick Gibson really captured Michael C. Hall's essence as far as the older Dexter. I feel like he portrayed him perfect in that scene. But now the big plot twist, to where we find out that Patrick Dempsey, we find out that he is the one that was capturing not only his son, but he killed another boy. I love the fact that that was a big twist. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of Patrick Dempsey, but I feel like once he was revealed to be the killer, and he was the one behind all this, then I felt like his acting was a little better. I just felt like sometimes there were scenes where he was overacting, and that just may be my opinion. That may be how he was going with it, but I just felt like sometimes it was a little too much. But yeah, the whole storyline with him wanting to teach his wife a lesson, and because she had been cheating on him for 16 years, and it wasn't his son's fault. That just blows my mind, because what kind of person would harm their own kid just to get back at their wife? But like I said, that big plot twist was really, really good. I didn't see that coming, and I was kind of wondering how they were going to do, like, as far as a main villain in the first season. I mean, which we all knew that, Dexter was going to have somebody on his table, but I never thought that he would have ended up having. I think he had three, and he would have had one if the other one hadn't gotten hit by a car. But yeah, man. So like I said, so far I am digging this, and I really hope we get a season two. But that's pretty much my positives. I don't have a lot of negatives, but I will go ahead and go into a couple. One of them was the Brian Moser character. I feel like they should have saved that for later seasons if they're going to continue doing this. I hate when they try to, and not just the Dexter series. It's this is with any series. We understand that Brian Moser was a um, an individual that had a lot of mental problems and stuff, but I don't really dig where they were like showing him going from one foster parents to the other to the other. Sometimes I feel like too much backstory on a villain like that can ruin it because why couldn't they just let that as he got taken away from Dexter, and that just really scarred him. Like I like the part where I didn't like the part, but the backstory as far as how Harry and his wife took them both in, and then how he tried to smother Deb because she was crying. Little stuff like that was fine, but like when they started showing him going into um, the foster parents' house, different ones, and him hurting somebody and over, you were just trying to make it a little bit too much for me. It's almost like I'll use Michael Myers as an example. Michael Myers is just pure evil. We didn't need a backstory. Well, then Rob Zombie gave us a backstory, and a lot of people rejected it and didn't like it. That's kind of how I feel with him. I was cool with them sprinkling him in just like a couple scenes where he was like, "Hey, is this seat taken?" And Dexter's like, "No, I'm saving it for my friends," because he was kind of testing the water to see if Dexter even recognized them. But as far as him being like one of the killers in it and stuff like that, I feel like they could have saved that for a later season. Uh, but yeah, like I said, that I was cool with seeing Brian, but not as much as the storyline as he got. I didn't really care for that. That was really my only negative that really stuck out to me because I feel like everything else was just written very well and it all fell into the original series perfect. Like I said, I really and truly hope that we get not only just a season two, but I hope as long as they can keep it interesting, I hope that we can get more seasons that would go right into Dexter. And I will say that I absolutely love how this season started at the end of Dexter New Blood. And it's kind of like Michael C. Hall is doing the inner voice dialogue, of course, of Dexter. And it's like he's on the operating table, emergency table from New Blood, and he's going through because he even says, his life flashed before his eyes, and now he's telling the story. I really dug that. I like how they handled that. And like I said, I hope we get a couple more seasons of this because I absolutely loved it. And I will say this 100% truth. I feel like this season is better than some of the original Dexter lineup. Like, I would put this right up there with the first four Dexter seasons. I really dug this season. And like I said, I'm super excited. As long as they don't go balls to the wall and try to just throw stuff in there that never was existing, that's where they start losing me. But one more thing that I hope they do either present in maybe next season if they end up getting signed on for another season. And this was one of my negatives for this season. Harry, we learned in the 8th season of Dexter, never really did the code. He learned it, and I can't remember her name, the doctor. She's the one that made the code up, and then then Harry presented it to Dexter. Well, she wasn't in this season, so I kind of hope that they explain a little bit more, maybe in the next season, how he met the doctor from, of course, like I said, I don't remember her name, and how she started to make a code up for Harry to give to Dexter. And like I said, that's my only negatives. But as far as my last positive, I will say I like how everybody got their own time on the screen. I like how you followed Dexter and Deb's relationship. You followed Harry and Laura Moser's past relationship. Then you followed Harry and Deb and Dexter's relationship, and Deb and Sophia. And it's just, man, they fit it in perfect to where each episode had their own lineup as far as it wasn't like The Walking Dead where this episode you got Dexter and Harry, and this episode you got Deb and Harry, and they just matched it very well in each episode. And like I said, I feel like this was a great season. And to all the people that was skeptical, and like I said, I was skeptical a little bit too, as far as if they were going to present stuff that wouldn't fit. They proved us all wrong. I think that this season was great, and I cannot wait to see more Dexter Original Sin if they get renewed. I really hope. And now this has got me just pumped even more for Dexter Resurrection. All right, so that is my review of Dexter Original Sin Season 1. Please let me know in the comments section how you guys and gals feel about this season. Did it live up to your expectations? Was it disappointing? Let me know, because this is a hot topic right now, and I'd love to be able to chat with each and every one of you. And also, if you can't get enough of movie reviews, I have a podcast, Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. And me and my buddy, all we do is review horror films on the actual audio. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Check out our videos on YouTube where we don't only do horror films. Now we just release like our top 10 best and worst comedy films. And also now I have my own YouTube channel for my Reyes Films production. It's a production that I started in 2013, and you can go check that out. I'll put the link in the description. It's got a lot of my movies that I made. They're very low budget movies, but it was me, my friends, and family that got together, and we've made documentaries, we've made Christian movies, we've made horror movies, we've made comedy movies. It's all in there, so please go on over to Reyes Films Production YouTube channel if you want to. You don't have to. And subscribe to that and check that out. But as always, I just want to say that I thank each and every one of you for checking out my videos. And as always, God bless each and every one of you. And until next time.